All right, so we're going to play Yep or Nope.
All right.
Max, we've got a couple of questions. You're going
do.
to fire them off at me. I will tell you Yep or Nope. Fire away, Maximilian.
Greg, the first statement is DFW, Texas high school football, is down this season.
Yep.
Oof.
I think it is. I think
is
you look
too.
across the now I want to be clear that I think that they still have a number of state championship contenders up at the top, right? I think Allen is fantastic. I think DeSoto looks fantastic.
Yeah.
They got a number of teams up at the top, Argyle and 4A.
Right.
A couple of teams in 5A,
Still
especially
top heavy.
Aledo.
Like, there is top heavy talent, no question.
To me, because DFW is so large, the only way that it's fair to judge it is by its depth.
Yep.
Is that if there are 2 or 3 great teams in the Concho Valley, then it's a great year in the Concho Valley because there's only 30-something teams. Right? Because there's so many teams in DFW, we have to judge it based on its depth. And right now, the upper crust, as great as always.
Right.
Absolutely. But the filling
Yeah.
is starting to turn.
Yeah, you said that the other day. That's an interesting analogy. I don't want to think about filling turning, but continue.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do not think that, look, 1 through, it's like we say about Texas high school football versus Florida high school football, right?
Yeah.
If you put the number 1 team in Florida against the number 1 team in Texas, it'd be a fantastic game.
Yep.
If you do 2, 3, 3, 3, all probably down to about 7, right? The top 7 teams in Texas against the top 7 teams in Florida.
Yeah.
But great
next
matchups.
30 or 50
blowouts.
Texas
It'll be
wins.
destruction.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, is that Florida is not as deep.
Yeah.
And I don't think DFW is as deep this year. There's a couple of teams that I think you can maybe buy a lottery ticket on. I think I'm pretty high on what Saxy's doing these days and stuff like that.
Arlington Martin's off to a nice start.
Arlington Martin, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that right now, if you look across the DFW Metroplex, it is not as deep as it has been in past years when we've talked about how DFW is the center of the Texas high school football universe. I just don't think that's the case this year. So I'm going to say, yep, it is down this year.
Okay.
What's next, Max?
All 12 FBS coaches in Texas will coach the final game of the season for their respective teams.
So essentially we're asking, are they going to make it all the way through the season without getting fired?
Right. Really?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
You are wrong.
All right, who's getting fired in the middle of the year?
Boy,
They're not going to fire Kevin Sullivan in the middle of the year. I just don't think they will.
Boy,
the only other
what if
guy,
they just don't win? What if they don't win anything?
If they start
if they start 0-7,
well, they can't start 0-7. But if they start 1-6,
if they go 0-6 from here, or 0-5 from here,
which
really?
is a real possibility,
really?
right?
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, now they're playing Louisiana.
I don't know that. I don't know the details of the contract. Like, if he doesn't make it through a season, if the buyout's bigger.
I just have. First of all, I don't believe. I would need to check this. But I don't know the last time A&M fired a coach in the middle of the year. Now, I think they fired coaches before the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did with Mike Sherman. But I don't know the last time they did that. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to let him play out the string because they need to keep this recruiting class together. And they don't want this team to quit.
Okay.
So, because the other thing is that you've got a number of guys who are absolutely transfer eligible, right?
Right.
Kellen Mond.
Right.
If you think he's the quarterback of the future, if if you fire him in the middle of the year, maybe Kellen Mond goes.
Right.
I don't think they'll fire him in the middle of the year. The only other options would be David Bailiff, right, at Rice.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it's Sumlin or Kugler.
That's the other one. It's Kugler,
Yeah.
and that's he's the wild card to me.
Yeah.
It's like if UTEP's 0-2, if UTEP starts like 0-6, do they pull the trigger? I'm not sure. I'm gonna say right now, no. I think that they all make it through the year.
All right.
That's my thought on that. All right, what's next?
Next. Let's go. You should panic if your team is 0-2.
Nope. With a caveat.
Oh.
There are some teams that I feel like you should look and say there are major red flags here. Okay. For example, I think Cedar Hill, I don't think they should panic, but I think they should look around and be like, oh, something's not going right here.
Yeah.
Monday is 0-2. I think they kind of maybe worry about it. Generally speaking, though, like
Monday
for example,
didn't have the season last year that I thought they would, but then they made a nice playoff run.
Yeah.
So there's still
sure.
Yeah.
But like for example, Liberty Ilo, we talked about them a little earlier.
Yeah.
They're 0-2, but they've lost to Carthage and Gilmer.
Right. They actually look a lot better this year so far than they did last
Absolutely.
year. Yeah.
I will say no, it's not time to panic, but I will also say if you ask me next week,
yeah.
I think 3 weeks is a substantial enough sample that if you want to start drawing some larger conclusions off of 3 weeks, that's to me go time for that.
Yeah.
So if you drop to 0-3, maybe my answer changed. Right now I'm going to say nope, it's not time to panic for 0-2 teams. What's next?
You would take a non-Power 5 Texas quarterback before all Power 5 quarterbacks right now.
Okay. I'm going to say yep.
Okay.
I think so.
Who?
I think I take... It depends on what you... Like, I should have phrased this better because I was the one who wrote the question.
Yeah.
Like, am I talking about someone to build a program around?
Right.
I might take Mason Fine.
Maybe.
At North Texas.
Maybe.
I might take Mason Fine. Ben Hicks is another guy you can think about.
Yeah.
The question is, because you look across the Power 5 conferences, like Shane Buechele or Sam Ehlinger are fine, but they haven't necessarily proven themselves. Kenny Hill, we have talked at length about how it's like he's amazing at times, and other times you just worry about him.
Right.
The Baylor quarterbacks, I mean, I like Zach Smith, but not enough. Nick Shemenek has played one game. I don't know if I'd take I'd quite jump in with him. And then all of a sudden you have the A&M quarterbacks, which seem like they're a bit of a mess.
Sure.
I think there's more stability in the non-Power 5 quarterbacks.
What about Kyle Allen?
Kyle Allen's a great
I think
choice.
Kyle Allen would be a pretty interesting
I
pick.
think Kyle
Although we have to wait and see because
Yeah,
they didn't light the world on fire in Arizona. They got the job done.
Yes.
That's all that matters. But you want to see more from that offense.
I think Kyle Allen, Mason Fine, Ben Hicks. If you want to take one of those guys, I'd certainly listen. I think that there's that. So I'm going to say yep right now, just because I think that the Power 5 group of quarterbacks is just kind of meh.
Just waiting to see. I think we need a few more games.
Mode, exactly.
I think if we asked you this in 2 or 3 weeks, you'd probably lean the other way, and you'd know who you were leaning towards.
Yeah. Okay.
Final question.
Yeah.
Corn tortillas better than flour tortillas? See, I don't. I'm
going to say yep, but we need to have a discussion.
Right. This is not a yes. This is not an either or.
Right. The good thing is we don't have to choose.
Right. They serve different purposes. Flour tortillas are better with breakfast.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would rather have a breakfast taco on flour than I would on corn.
But if we're talking just like you and I are going out for tacos for lunch.
If I'm having carnitas or barbacoa, I want corn.
Okay,
yeah,
that would be fine for
Sure.
me. Yeah, I think so. But I'll tell you, I used to be hardline against corn tortillas. I did not like them.
Interesting.
I have been won over though. I think my palate
you've
has
seen
adjusted.
the light.
I've seen the light that corn tortillas are great. I'm going to take if you're asking me in a vacuum, hey Greg, I'm not telling you what you're eating, but you're going to eat either a corn tortilla or a flour tortilla. I'm taking the corn tortilla.
Fair enough.
That's where I'm at.